I walked into our bedroom and found her straddling some guy I didn't even recognize, laughing like they owned the place. She tried to cover herself. He just stared at me, cocky as hell. I dragged him off the bed by the throat and smashed his head against the doorframe. Then I took a photo of his license, posted it with the footage to every group chat she was in, and sent it to his employer. She screamed that I was ruining her life. That was the idea. I'm not the jealous type. Never have been. I don't check phones. I don't ask about coworkers. I'm the kind of guy who believes that if you have to monitor your partner, the relationship's already dead. But sometimes, something shifts, quiet, small, not dramatic, and it worms its way into your instincts before your mind can even process it. That was Mia. We'd been together for 4 years. Engaged for 1. Lived together for 2. She was a marketing manager at some trendy firm downtown. Big glasses, oversized blazers, the whole I have a pitch in 10 vibe. Her job was demanding, sure, and her schedule was erratic. Late nights weren't new. Happy hours with clients? Expected. But something changed 2 months before this all exploded. She stopped letting me touch her phone. It wasn't sudden, just subtle, like tilting the screen away, smiling too tightly when a message popped up. She used to set her phone face up on the coffee table. Now it was screen down or in her purse. Her outfits got more curated. Not just business chic, but deliberately enticing. Lingerie started showing up that I never saw her wear for me. Still, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I told myself I was imagining things. That work stress was probably making her distant. That maybe we were just in a dry patch. Then came the Wednesday night that broke the spell. She was in the shower, and I heard her phone buzz on the counter. I swear, I wasn't planning to check it. I just glanced, just a glance, and saw the name, Steve L. And the message underneath. Same time, same bed? Missed that laugh. No emojis. No hearts. Just enough to make my heart stop. I put the phone back exactly where it was and sat on the edge of the bed like a ghost. When she came out in her towel, smiling, talking about some budget review, I nodded like a puppet. I don't think she noticed. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I called out of work and went to a hardware store. Picked up a discreet security cam, the kind meant for checking on dogs while you're away. I spent the day wiring it behind our bookshelf, angled right at the bed. It was motion activated. High def. Synced to my cloud. She wouldn't know a thing. The next 3 days dragged like molasses. She was normal. Too normal. On Friday, she said she had a client dinner and wouldn't be home until late. I pretended to go to a bar with some coworkers, even texted her about it. But in reality, I sat alone in my parked car, eyes locked on my phone screen, watching that silent feed like it was life or death. At 9:46 p.m., the footage triggered. She walked into the apartment holding hands with someone. A guy I didn't recognize, lean, clean-shaven, wearing a smug expression. He kicked his shoes off like he owned the place. She laughed, kissed him, and they stumbled into the bedroom. They didn't hesitate. They didn't talk about feeling guilty. They didn't wonder if I'd come home. They didn't even glance at the hallway. She climbed on top of him like it was muscle memory. I stared at the screen, not breathing. I could hear nothing, but I didn't need audio. Her eyes sparkled. She tossed her head back. She whispered something in his ear that made him grin wide and slap her thigh. They were laughing, actually laughing, like it was all some inside joke. That night, I saved the recording, copied it 3 times, backed it up on a drive. Then I watched it again. Not because I needed to, but because I refused to be one of those guys who looks away. The next morning, I made her pancakes. She acted like nothing was off. She even kissed my neck while I was doing the dishes. She went to brunch with her friends and texted me a photo of a mimosa with the caption, "Much needed girl time." I replied with a thumbs up. By Sunday, I had tracked the guy down using a blurry shot of his license plate from another camera in the building lobby. A few Google searches and some social media sleuthing, and I had his name, workplace, and even photos of his wife and kids. His name wasn't Steve. It was Brandon. He worked at a mid-sized finance firm and coached youth soccer on weekends. Mia, meanwhile, had another late meeting coming up Tuesday. She wasn't even trying to hide it. So I waited. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream or cry. I didn't ask why. I prepared. While she was at yoga Monday night, I went through her phone again. This time I copied her entire contact list. Group chats, email addresses, Facebook, Slack channels, even her college alumni forum login, which she'd saved in a note. She had no idea. She came home, made tea, and told me about some joke her boss cracked. I asked about the meeting on Tuesday. She said it might run late, might even be back after midnight. I told her that was fine, because on Tuesday, I was coming home early, and I wasn't knocking. Tuesday morning felt like the calm before a storm I had built with my own hands. She left the house at 8:15 sharp. Hair curled, blazer tight, lips glossed. She smiled at me, kissed me on the cheek like we were still in high school, and told me not to wait up. I said nothing, just watched her walk out like she hadn't been screwing someone else in our bed just 4 nights earlier. I waited 10 minutes, then got up and opened the hallway closet where I had hidden a cheap gym bag. Inside was everything I'd need. The footage from Friday saved on a USB, screenshots of her texts, and the photo of Brandon's ID that I pulled from the blurry still of his wallet. I had his name, company, address. Even the elementary school his kids went to. I had printed everything and sealed it into separate envelopes. I had already removed myself from the lease. Quietly, 2 weeks earlier, when I started suspecting her, I had gone to the landlord under the pretense of job relocation. He signed the form without issue. She wouldn't find out until rent was due next cycle, and the entire lease would be in her name. I left work by 4 o'clock and parked 2 streets down, hidden behind a row of hedges in an empty lot. I could see our building from there. I left the car running, watched the clouds shift, and stared at the entrance like a hunter waiting for a pattern to repeat. At 5:38 p.m., it did. Brandon walked in, wearing the same smug swagger I remembered from the video. No disguise, no hesitation. He wasn't looking over his shoulder. He wasn't rushing. He looked like a guy who'd been here before, like someone comfortable in another man's space. He buzzed in, waited, and was let up within 10 seconds. I waited. 10 minutes. 20. 30. I didn't go in immediately. Let them get comfortable. Let them feel safe. At 6:15, I entered the building and took the elevator slowly, not because I was nervous, but because I didn't want to burst in while they were still mid-undress. I wanted them aware. I wanted faces. I wanted panic. I reached our door and paused for just a second. No sound. The hallway was silent. The doorknob felt warm. I twisted it gently. Unlocked. When I walked in, the lights were dimmed. Music was playing softly from her Bluetooth speaker, some synthy playlist she always used for relaxation. The moment I entered the bedroom, time slowed. She was on top of him, hair wild, hands on his chest, her head thrown back in a laugh that felt like a punch to the ribs. His hands gripped her hips like she was his. The sheet was twisted under them. Her bra hung from the lamp. Neither of them noticed me at first. Then Brandon saw me and didn't flinch. He looked at me like I was a houseplant, like I didn't matter, like I didn't belong. Mia turned around, her body still tangled with his, and her face dropped. She scrambled off like a startled animal, grabbing a pillow to cover herself. Brandon just raised an eyebrow and smirked. That expression snapped something in me. I crossed the room in seconds and grabbed him by the throat. No warning, no words. I dragged him off the bed like dead weight, slammed him against the doorframe, and heard the crack of bone. He hit the ground, dazed, arms flailing, groaning like a drunk. Mia screamed, covering herself with a blanket. I ignored her. I picked up Brandon's pants off the floor, ripped the wallet from the back pocket, and took a clear photo of his ID. I opened my camera roll and captured his face as he lay half-naked on the carpet, his lip bleeding, his eyes glossy. Then I stepped back and turned toward the dresser, where the camera I had installed was still blinking red. Footage confirmed. I picked up my phone, connected to the cam remotely, and downloaded everything from the last 20 minutes. Mia begged me to stop. She said it was a mistake, that she didn't know what she was thinking, that she was going to end it. I didn't say a word. I didn't even look at her. I just pulled up her group chat with her coworkers and started uploading. 1 file. 2. 3. I didn't just send the video. I added captions. I timestamped the betrayal. I included Brandon's full name and tagged her friends. Then I found her college alumni chat and sent it there too, with a photo of her straddling Brandon, her face visible, eyes locked on his. The replies came instantly. Shocked reactions. A few WTFs. One message from her best friend simply said, "Unreal." Mia lunged for my phone. I shoved her aside. She hit the dresser and collapsed, still tangled in the blanket. She didn't try again. I emailed the footage and Brandon's photo to his employer. Their website had a contact form for HR. I filled it out with a fake client name and attached the file with a message. Might want to know what your consultant is doing during client hours. As I packed a bag, Mia screamed. She begged me not to send it. She said I was destroying everything. She accused me of violating her privacy. Then she threatened to call the police. I laughed, because everything I had was legal. The apartment was mine. The camera was mine. The footage was mine. Her betrayal was real. Her panic? Too late. I took one final walk through the apartment, grabbed a few essentials, passport, laptop, external hard drive, and left Brandon on the floor, still half-conscious, mumbling something I didn't care to hear. As I walked out, Mia followed me barefoot into the hallway, wrapped in a towel, sobbing, begging. She said this would ruin her career, that people would never forget this. She was right, and that was the point. I didn't look back. The door slammed behind me as she screamed something I didn't bother processing. I descended the stairs calmly, no rush, while the building echoed with her footsteps above. She didn't follow me to the street. Maybe she realized it wouldn't help. Or maybe Brandon was still crumpled on the floor, needing her attention more than I ever did. Once I got to the car, I sat behind the wheel for a while, staring straight ahead, watching the apartment building through the windshield. Part of me expected her to come down after me, maybe one last attempt at damage control. But no one came, and the lights in the bedroom shut off. That was the first moment I allowed myself to breathe. Then I opened my laptop and connected it to my hotspot. The footage had already finished uploading to the cloud. I created a private folder and locked it behind 3 passwords. Then I sent 2 emails, one to Brandon's HR team again, this time with a clearer subject line, and one to his wife. I found her Facebook earlier. Public profile, photos of their kids, matching Halloween costumes, captions about building forever. I didn't include a long message, just the video and the subject line. You deserve to know who he really is. I also attached the hospital bracelet info from Brandon's wrist in the footage. He'd sprained something in his wrist, apparently. I hadn't known at the time, but later found out he lied to his wife and said he slipped during a workout. She didn't buy it after the email. Mia didn't contact me that night. I guess she figured I was too angry to respond, or too calculated to bother. She was right. I booked a room in a motel by the highway, paid in cash, and locked myself in for the night. Not to cry, not to mope, just to watch what happened next. By midnight, her work group chat had blown up. People were sharing the video. Her boss had already been tagged. Screenshots were being passed around, and I saw someone post, "This is what she does on company hours." Then came the first real consequence. Mia's office had a strict fraternization policy, not just for employees, but with clients. Brandon was one of hers. That little detail meant she had not only violated company trust, but potentially cost them a contract. Her boss emailed her directly. I saw the notification when I briefly logged into her iCloud from my burner phone. The message was short. Effective immediately, your position is under investigation. Do not return to the office until contacted. The next day, I checked in with a friend of mine who worked in banking compliance. Told him I had a friend who might be involved in an HR scandal tied to client misconduct. Gave him Brandon's name, his firm, and what he'd done. My friend said he'd run it up the chain. By 10 a.m., Brandon's company started receiving anonymous tips, screenshots, attachments, even a short video clip from someone who had downloaded it. Brandon's firm couldn't afford the optics, especially not with the regional director set to visit that week. By noon, he was relieved of client-facing duties. By 3 p.m., Brandon's wife posted a long paragraph on Facebook that started with, "To those who have seen what I've seen today, yes, it's real. And no, I won't protect him anymore." It ended with a photo of their wedding ring on a windowsill. Her friends filled the comments with support, fire emojis, and people tagging others to catch up on the drama. Mia's social media was silent. She hadn't posted since the night before, when she'd uploaded a photo of her dinner with the caption, "Love this sushi place." It was taken 15 minutes before I walked in on her half-naked. She didn't text me that day, but her friends did. One messaged, "I don't know what happened, but this is too far." Another, "Please take the video down. You've made your point." And one simply said, "She messed up, but she's human. Don't destroy her." I didn't reply, because they hadn't messaged me once during our entire relationship. They didn't know me. They hadn't cared when she lied. They only cared now that it was public. By evening, I got the first message from Mia herself. It wasn't angry. It was pathetic, rambling. She said she'd made a huge mistake, that it wasn't what it looked like, that she still loved me, and had no idea how to fix this. I archived the message without opening it. That night, I drove past our apartment. The lights were off. Her car was still there, but I didn't stop. I didn't need to. I had already made sure my name was off every shared document. I'd transferred utilities into her name before I even left. She would wake up in a few days to overdraft fees and disconnected power. I didn't feel bad. She had made her bed, with Brandon in it. I stayed with a friend for a few days after that. Quietly. No social media. No status updates. But the fallout spread fast. A mutual friend sent me screenshots of a private group chat where Mia was venting. She said I had violated her trust, that I had used her weakest moment against her, and that I was trying to ruin her life out of spite. One of her friends replied, "Girl, you got caught. You straddled the guy in his bed. Maybe shut up for now." That was the only time I smiled that week. Brandon, meanwhile, had vanished from LinkedIn. His company page took his profile down. The post his wife made kept gaining traction. She changed her name back to her maiden name within days. Mia showed up at my friend's place once. Rang the bell. Waited. He didn't open the door. She stood there for 10 minutes, crying, pacing, mumbling to herself, before finally walking away. I watched it all from a camera on the porch, just like I had watched her before. Except this time, she wasn't laughing. She looked tired, makeup smeared, hair tied in a knot. Her whole presence had shrunk. It was strange. For years, I thought I knew her, but I had never seen that face. The one that knew what it lost and what it could never get back. And I felt nothing. No anger, no triumph, no satisfaction, just silence. I thought it was over. I thought I had burned everything that needed burning. She was exposed. He was disgraced. The bed was empty. The silence was enough. But Mia wasn't finished. 3 days after she tried to ambush me at my friend's house, I got a call from an unknown number. I ignored it. Then another. Same number. Then a text. You need to hear me out. Please. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just one last talk. I didn't respond. But I saved the number. She called again. Left a voicemail. Then another. By the fifth one, curiosity got the better of me. I played the last message. She was crying, yes, but not the theatrical sobbing I had expected. Her voice was quiet, hoarse, cracked. She said she was scared. She said Brandon's wife had threatened to file a lawsuit, claiming emotional damages. Said his firm was considering pressing charges for violating internal client contracts. Said she'd been fired formally now, not just suspended. And the worst part, her parents had found out. Mia came from a conservative family. Public image mattered. They had money, status, community ties. Her mother had called her an embarrassment. Her father had told her not to come home. She said she didn't want anything from me. Just to talk. Just once. I agreed. Not out of mercy. Not to reconnect. I wanted to see the wreckage. I needed to hear what excuse she would scrape together when everything had already collapsed. We met in a park halfway between our old apartment and her parents' house. Public. Neutral. Safe. She arrived looking like a ghost. No makeup. Hollow cheeks. The confident, icy woman I'd once known had vanished. She sat beside me on a bench, hands shaking. She didn't talk at first. Just looked ahead. I could see a faint bruise on her thigh, probably from when I pushed her off me during the fight. She told me Brandon's wife had filed for divorce. Said she was demanding custody, full ownership of the house, and full financial control over their assets. And she wasn't letting it go quietly. She also said Brandon tried to contact her again, but not to reconnect. He blamed her for everything. Said she ruined his life. That if she didn't publicly clear his name, he'd sue. She told me she had no job, no place to live, and that our landlord had refused to let her off the lease. Rent was due next week. Her bank account was overdrawn. She said her phone blew up every day with messages. Not support, not kindness, but screenshots, forwarded versions of the video, even jokes. She asked me why I had to do it that way. Why I didn't just confront her. Why I made it public. I told her the truth. Because she had laughed. Not just at the situation. Not just with him. She had laughed at me. In the one place I thought was safe. The one place I had built for us. She had turned it into a joke. And I don't forgive that. She nodded slowly. She didn't argue. She didn't apologize again either. Maybe she finally realized it wouldn't matter. She stood up after that and walked away without saying goodbye. I didn't follow. That night, I received one last message from her. It was a photo of her things packed in suitcases, captioned with an address. A cheap extended stay motel outside the city. She said it was temporary. I deleted the message. The next day, I sent an anonymous tip to her alumni network, the same one where she had boasted about her career just weeks ago. The footage spread again. Quietly. This time, it reached some of her old mentors, professors, people who had written recommendation letters. Her name didn't just fade. It was erased. Brandon's company released a statement about inappropriate conduct during client engagements and promised internal reviews. They didn't name him, but everyone knew. He removed his name from all professional listings. His coaching role with the kids? Terminated by the school board after parents demanded it. I didn't speak to either of them again. I moved into a new place, new city, fresh job. Left everything tied to that apartment behind. No friends in common. No reminders. No artifacts. And every so often, I get a text from a number I don't have saved. Usually at odd hours. Usually one sentence. Things like, I made one mistake. You didn't have to destroy me. I'm still not okay. I don't reply. I don't read them twice. Because when I walked into that room and saw her like that, laughing, careless, triumphant, she wasn't just betraying me. She was erasing me. So I returned the favor. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.